it's time to listen to our chief guest, Mr. Richard Lackey. He is the chairman, World Food Bank Group and Medi Group Limited. GCPIT is honored to have him with us on this special day focusing on SDG1, no poverty. He is a serial entrepreneur who is now focused on systematic solutions that utilize integrated development efforts. He founded the World Food Bank, which leverages access to education, access to inputs, access to financing, and access to guaranteed markets to improve the quality of commodities grown and incomes generated by small farmers. World Food Bank also leverages long-term storage technology to hold grains and pulses for extended periods, food as an asset class. The MEDI programs have won 7 global awards and have proven to be the most time and cost-effective solution for lifting people out of poverty. The company is expanding its STEM television programs into schools and its educational ag entertainment into Africa, India, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. The World Food Bank leverages commodity storage technology to arbitrage inefficient food markets, both for profit and to bring stability to emerging markets. And the goal is to bring an end to world hunger and lift millions out of poverty. Let me proudly invite the chief guest of today, the chairman of World Food Bank Group and Medi Group Limited, Mr. Richard Lackey. Over to you, Mr. Lackey.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here and fantastic. I took a page of notes from Rajashri speaking as well. Really, really delighted to be here. And if I can, I'll share some slides with you that may help walk through some of the things that we think are valuable in explaining where things are and where things. What I wanted to do today is to share with you some actual solutions to some of the problems that we're talking about. And I think that as you walk through, as you think about this, as we go through it, you'll find that we're talking about addressing multiple things at the same time. And while Rajashri didn't really share with you her background, she's written some fantastic articles on supply chain management and the other things. And this really builds on a lot of that. And much of what I heard her sharing about was the need to bring things together. And supply chain management is very much an ecosystem. It's linking together all the critical components so that you can get the job done. And that's really what needs to be done here. And so there are 2 components that I'd like to chat about. And one is what I would call the zero hunger formula. And the second is the efficient, scalable solutions that exist today and how we're able to leverage those. So while I'm best known as the chairman of the World Food Bank, I think there's a couple of solutions that are applicable to people that are participating today that I want to give people an opportunity to join in, to be part of something, or to take an idea today and to go to work with it tomorrow in a way that can catalyze change. So that's hopefully the goal and the value that'll come out of the few minutes that we're going to share together. One of the things that I want to talk about is the MEDI group and how that works. But if you go back to the numbers that have been shared by Aparna as well, is that of the world's poorest, 800 million rely on agriculture. 800 million rely on agriculture. We know that number. Let's remember that number. In 10 years, the world's population is going to grow by 1 billion. We need the 800 million small farmers who also happen to live in poverty underneath the numbers that we talked about before of $1.90 per day. They're the smallhold farmers that are also going to need to feed the 1 billion people that are going to be living on the planet. So quite literally, the problem of hunger is solved by the people who live in poverty. Does that make sense? The problem that we have is that the system is kind of broken. The agricultural value chains that assure farmers can justify the purchase of seeds, pay for the implements to improve their soil, to buy the fertilizer and the micro irrigation and the treatments and the management, and to pay for storage and to pay for transportation. All of those things are an expense, and each one of those carries a measure of risk. All of those need to be brought together to solve the problem of an integrated supply chain for agriculture. What we found is that by focusing on 4 core elements, we can solve more than 80% of the problems that affect small farmers. And many of these are building on just what we were talking about in earlier stuff that Rajari was sharing with as well. One, and the most important by far, is education. People can't do what they don't know. They can't plant better if they don't know how to plant better. They can't select better seeds if they don't know how to select better seeds. But there's so many areas of agriculture, fruits and nuts and aquaponics and hydroponics and fish farming and so on and so forth. There's so much to be said and so much to be learned. It's very difficult to do in traditional ways. These farmers also need access to inputs, not just seeds that they have left over from prior seasons, but high quality seeds that will yield better results and also be less susceptible to the diseases and the droughts and the other things that affect the farms in many of the developing markets. The third is access to finance. And I may be a little bit of a challenge here in that I don't know that finance, I know the challenges that we face with microfinance, but we found that the greatest changes in economies and the greatest catalyst to lifting people out of poverty has been not the microfinance, the finding the person that needs $5 or $20, but actually financing the people who have just passed that and are now in the cash economy. The people who are in the cash economy know their market better than anyone. The people that are in the cash economy know what it took for them to get to the cash economy from earlier. So by financing the people who have some measure of success and allowing them to push dollars or share or combine or partner or merge with those who are struggling to get to that level is one of the best ways to create a natural mentoring and a natural expansion of good practices. And the last component is markets. Those smallhold farmers need to know that if they spend the money on seed and fertilizer and they work to grow better quality, that all of a sudden there's not going to be tripling of growth, which often happens when NGOs and others finance better seeds, for example. Then all of a sudden everyone grows 3 times more maize or soy or sorghum or millet or what have you, and then the prices crash because there's so much supply and not enough uptake and offtake. So by having guaranteed markets with guaranteed minimum prices provided by private institutions, that way we resolve the issues of volatility and we guarantee markets for people. I share this solution with you because I know that it works. It's the model for the World Food Bank. But I want to extend it and share with you some other things that we know have really, really had power. We were doing model farms, 300 acres, 5,000 acres, and we would train hundreds and thousands of people every season on best practices. And about a third of those would actually take up what they had learned, how to improve the soil, how to maintain water in the soil, how to save water, how to purchase the best seeds, how to aggregate things together so that they can push them to market, how to harvest properly, and so on and so forth. So we would train 10,000 people on our largest farm in Uganda, and about 3,000 of those would actually use those practices in their own farm. I was appointed to the board of USAID. As an advisor to USAID, I had the benefit of experiencing the best in technologies and the best in research. And one of the companies that won the Global Development Award for its innovations in education was called the MEDI company, like media with an E on the end, like plural. And the MEDI company actually does educational entertainment, edutainment. And these educational programs go from everything from farm, like home makeover shows. They do farm makeover shows. They come and address people and say, what are the challenges you have? They address those problems and they come back at the end of the show and they show the improvements. The cow is now bigger and healthier and produces more milk. The farm produces 3 times more maize. And by doing this every week, not only have they become the #1 daytime show in Kenya, but they lift 1.6 million people out of poverty every year. 1.6 million at about half the cost of what I did on a 5,000 acre farm to train 9 or 10,000 people. They're literally taking people, giving them the education they need and lifting them out of poverty. Now, one of the really valuable things is not only have they taken the media concept just for TV and then it plays on radio afterward for people that don't have that, But they've also now connected with microfinance organizations and even regular banks who said, look, people that watch your TV shows are better educated. They use better seeds. So they're less susceptible to drought. They're less susceptible to pests. They know how to harvest properly, so they don't have as much post-harvest loss. And then World Food Bank guarantees them a market. So the banks have less risk when they finance people that watch our TV programs and listen to our radio programs and participate in our online SMS messaging programs, where we send them real-time GPS synced advice on when to irrigate, when to spray for pests. Make sure you plant by Friday. It's going to rain Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Temperatures are going to be above this temperature. Make sure you irrigate an extra 30 minutes a day, because you won't be susceptible to this fungus if you do. That kind of education empowers those farmers to do more and grow better. And we then guarantee them a marketplace, and then banks want to finance them. So essentially we create an ecosystem within this MEDI component. Just with what we're doing now, expanding into one major country per year, we're on scale to reach 143 million farmers on a weekly basis in 5 years. If our numbers continue, we'll be lifting 51 million people out of poverty with the work that we do at present. That adds $1.1 billion in GDP. What I'm asking you now, the reason that I'm here is not just to share this concept, but to challenge you to participate, to be part of this. If you want to start it on your own, start it on your own, because it works. If you want to partner with us to take the format that we use, we're happy to work with you to get that done. We have several great leaders. We're building local leaders, and we have advisors that come from global entertainment. We have folks like Akon, the music singer and songwriter and producer. We have experts in from a number of different universities and what have you. But all of this comes with a solution for where we are for the future by just by embracing these things together. And so what I would ask is that that you consider using systematic solutions, and that you look at media as a core component for educating millions of people and gaining real scale. I think that's the message for today, and hopefully there's some value in that. So thank you very much, Aparna, and thank you for allowing me to share that concept.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lackey. That was amazing and so inspiring. We have a lot to do together towards creating a better world. So thank you so much for joining us today. And with this,